So, no one told you life was going to be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA. To make matters worse, your favorite TV show Friends has a million plot holes. As a matter of fact, it has more plot holes than a Joey Tribbiani movie. Welcome to FilmShack. Today, we prepared for you 14 Friends plot holes you may have missed. Number 14. Phoebe teaches Joey French.
Remember at the time? You don't remember?
Phoebe Buffet is certainly one of the most mysterious characters in the show. Her childhood was vastly different than the rest of the gang, which meant she often had to educate herself. In Season 10, she teaches Joey how to speak French for an upcoming audition because she is fluent in the language. However, earlier in the series, it appears she doesn't know some really basic words in French. In Season 8, Phoebe dates Monica's sous chef, but despite speaking French, she doesn't know what sous means. It appears her French isn't as good as she thinks. While it may be that she took secret classes after that episode, we're pretty sure it's just a plot hole. Number 13. Ross claims Carol was his only partner before Rachel.
You did start that rumor about Ross making out with Mrs. Altman, our 50-year-old librarian.
How did you know that?
Ross and Rachel's love story was the core of the series. Their on-again, off-again love story played a central part in the show's success. In fact, they're one of the most famous television couples of all time. In Season 1, Ross claims that he had only been with his ex-wife Carol and no other woman. He maintains that story while dating Rachel. In Season 7, however, Ross contradicts that story while arguing with Chandler. According to Chandler, Ross got very close with a college cleaning lady, and Ross doesn't deny it. That was before he married Carol and reconnected with Rachel. It seems like an important moment that most people would remember, but maybe Ross just didn't want to be reminded of it. Number 12. Guys didn't recognize Bruce Willis.
You are the man. You are the man.
The gang would sometimes reference well-known celebs. On a few occasions, these same celebs would appear on the show as different characters. However, they never acknowledge the celeb. For instance, Ross, Joey, and Chandler are huge die-hard fans. The famous action movie stars the legendary Bruce Willis. In Season 6, Bruce Willis guest starred as Paul Stevens, which, considering what their favorite movie is, really does create a massive plot hole. The guys never recognize that Stevens is Bruce Willis. Obviously, Willis is playing a character, which is why the showrunners likely didn't think twice about casting him. However, considering Bruce Willis is the star of their favorite movie, it is a little strange to have him on the show as a regular guy. Number 11. Joey forgets how many siblings he has. Joey Tribbiani comes from a very large family. In fact, his family's so big that he can't even remember how many sisters he has. In Season 3, the gang throws a huge birthday party for Joey. All of his sisters come, and Chandler thinks that he is seeing 7 of the same person, rather than all of Joey's 7 sisters. However, in Season 1, Joey talks about his mother giving birth to 7 kids, so that means 7 would include him. On the other hand, Joey has never been too good with numbers, so it would be believable that he miscounted the number of siblings he has. Still, we're putting this one in the plot hole category rather than classifying it as a mere coincidence. Number 10. Ross's son Ben disappears.
We still need a name for this little guy.
How about Ben?
Ross Geller has been married 3 times and had 2 kids, but by the end of the series, it seemed like he only had 1. Early in the series, Ross's ex-wife gives birth to his son Ben, who ended up serving as a useful plot point for many of Ross's storylines throughout the first few seasons. Later, when Ross has his daughter Emma with Rachel, viewers suspected that they would become a small, happy family. However, that does not come to pass, and Ben suddenly disappears from the show. In fact, he missed out on some of the biggest moments of his father's life. For instance, Ben didn't go to Ross and Emily's wedding in England, and he never met his little sister. There's no mention of his name at all in the last few seasons. Number 9. Chandler and his money.
Hi, could we get 2 burritos to go, please?
In Season 2, Monica's handsome boyfriend Richard impresses Chandler and Joey. They think he's just the coolest guy ever. In fact, they want to be just like him. Richard even teaches Chandler how to slip money to a waiter. Chandler practices this skill and gets pretty good at it. As the show progresses, Monica drops Richard and instead starts dating Chandler, who ends up being very jealous of her past boyfriend. In season 7, Monica tries to convince Chandler to slip money to the waiter at a restaurant they are trying to eat at. However, Chandler claims he doesn't know how to and gets annoyed when Monica brings up Richard, who would have already gotten them a table by then. Chandler is rightfully agitated, but seems to have forgotten that Richard has already taught him that particular skill. Number 8. Joey and his Adam's apple.
Great kisser, but she had the biggest Adam's apple.
Joey Tribbiani isn't the brightest person in the world, but he is great with women and not a bad actor. However, he has had a tough time with spelling, math, and Adam's apples. In season 2, Joey tells a story about meeting a woman who was a great kisser. The only problem was that her Adam's apple was huge. The rest of the gang tried to explain to him that women don't have Adam's apples, which means that he was kissing a boy. In season 7, Joey has forgotten everything he knows about Adam's apples. In fact, he thinks they are named after each individual person. He complains to Chandler that his tie is too tight around his Joey's apple. It's unclear if he forgot or just continued to be confused about Adam's apples in general. Number 7. The wedding.
You wanted it to be a surprise.
Monica and Chandler's engagement had fans in tears all over the world. However, the chain of events that led to the proposal all started with a forgotten wedding location. In season 6, Monica finds the perfect wedding venue at a museum. There's just the small issue of Chandler not having proposed to her yet, but she decides to put her name on the wedding list anyhow. Chandler pretends to flip out when he finds out about the venue, but he had actually set it up with Phoebe to make Monica think he was not going to propose to her. When he does, their engagement lasts for a while before they get married in season 7. Remember the museum that was perfect for the wedding? Neither did Monica and Chandler. The venue was never mentioned again when they marry at a different location. Number 6. Joey's fridge opens both ways.
Look, Rich, my parents bought this fridge just after I was born, okay?
Joey's place is nothing like Monica's across the hall. He does not enforce any strict rules, nor does he clean the apartment as well as Monica does. The plot hole, however, lies with his apparent magical fridge. Joey's fridge appears to open in both directions. In one episode, Rachel opens the freezer door and fans cannot see inside of it. However, in a later episode, Joey's fridge breaks and he tries to get money for it. He opens the fridge and the doors go in the opposite direction. In this instance, fans can see inside of his fridge. It is likely that many people did not notice this small inconsistency, but some hardcore fans caught it right away. Number 5. Chandler Cant Cry.
You didn't cry when Bambi's mother died?
Yes, it was very sad when the guy stopped drawing the deer.
In the one where Chandler can't cry, there's a huge plot hole that is hard to miss. As a matter of fact, it's in the title. In the episode, Chandler is unable to cry, and the gang tries everything they can to make him weep. It's a bit odd that nobody seems to remember Chandler crying countless times before that episode. In fact, he is one of the most emotional characters in the show. He cried a number of times in front of the gang. In season 3, Phoebe pointed out the fact that she once made Chandler cry, and quite frankly, he sobbed his heart out. It is a little surprising that no one ever noticed that plot hole, especially since Chandler has always been a fairly dramatic and emotional character. Number 4. The inconsistent ages.
So I don't have to get married until I'm 33. That's 3 years. That's 3 whole years. Oh, wait a minute, though. I'll need a year and a half to plan the wedding.
Friends revolved around the lives of 6 20-something friends living in New York. And apparently, life was so difficult for them that they couldn't even keep track of their ages. In season 1, Joey's the youngest of the group, at 25 years old. However, in 7 years, Rachel is the last one to turn 30. As in the episode, the viewers get to see all the other birthday celebrations through flashbacks. It seems that the writers had a lot of trouble keeping track of how old the characters were, and had no problem with those inconsistencies. As for Ross, he spends 3 Christmases at exactly the same age. Apparently, Ross doesn't age at all, since he's 29 in seasons 3, 4, and 5. Number 3. The birthdays.
Okay, while Ross is on the phone, everybody owes me $62 for his birthday.
Not only do they have a difficult time remembering their age, but they seem to have trouble remembering their birthdays as well. In fact, that might explain why they don't know how old they are. In Season 7, Rachel states she's an Aquarius, which puts her birthday in late January or early February. However, in Season 4, she states otherwise when she tells Gunther that her birthday is in May. Rachel is not the only one having trouble with remembering their birthday. In the same episode, Ross tells Gunther that his birthday is in December, but in Season 9, Ross tells Joey his birthday is October 19. We know it can be hard for writers to remember everything that happens over 10 seasons, but birthdays should not be a fact that is so easily forgotten. Number 2. Chandler forgets he knew Monica.
Did you like the macaroni and cheese?
Oh, yeah, it was great. You should be a chef.
Okay.
The gang sometimes seems to suffer from memory loss, particularly Chandler, who seems to have a hard time remembering his younger days. In the one with the prom video, the gang sits down to watch an old VHS tape. The video features Rachel and Monica getting ready for their high school prom. In her youth, Monica was overweight, which becomes a running joke. When watching the video, Chandler's surprised by her weight and then mocks her. However, this makes little sense. Flashbacks reveal that Chandler met Monica when they were younger, more than once, and he mocked her weight then too. Thus, he would have been fully aware of the way she would have looked back then. Number 1. Chandler and Rachel don't remember each other.
Excuse me, I seem to have dropped my ball.
Yeah, so?
In the very first episode of the series, Rachel runs out on her wedding and ends up at Central Park in search for her old high school friend Monica. It's then she meets Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe for the first time. There's only one problem. She first met Chandler years ago. In later seasons, flashbacks reveal that Chandler met both Monica and Rachel in their high school and college days, as he has been good friends with Ross since college. He attended several Thanksgivings when the girls were in high school. In fact, Chandler even kissed Rachel once at a college party. Regardless, it seems they don't know each other in the first episode. This is a major plot hole that is difficult to overlook. It seems as though the whole gang suffers from some serious amnesia.